Week 7 of the fantasy basketball season is finally here, and after surviving one of the weirdest fantasy weeks of the entire season thanks to that Thanksgiving chaos, things are about to heat up fast. We've got 22 teams playing 4 games this week, injuries are starting to stack up across the league, and that means one thing: opportunity is everywhere. And today I've got 6 sleepers who can straight up win you your week in week 7. Some of these guys are going to be rest of season gems that I think should stay on your roster, and others are going to be perfect for the 1 week rentals. But every single one of them can give your team the boost it needs right now to stay competitive. Welcome back to The Corner, your #1 destination for everything fantasy basketball related. Every single week, I'm giving you guys the best waiver wire pickups, trade target sleepers, and so much more to help you win your leagues. If you've been enjoying the content on the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bells to make sure that you never miss anything that I post or upload, because it is officially time to lock in. Now let's get into the video. In last week's video, I highlighted guys like Jay Huff, AJ Green, and Jordan Goodwin, all these players who ended up having a really solid week for their fantasy teams. And trust me, I know I had a couple misses as well. Mason Plumlee looked great until Cockburner came back way sooner than I expected from his injury, but that happens sometimes in fantasy. We pivot, we adjust, and this week I've got new waiver wire ads that you need to look at to stay competitive. And first up on this list, we have Kevin Porter Jr., and honestly, this should not be a surprise at this point. If you've been watching the videos on the channel, I've been calling it out for the past 2 weeks. KPJ is officially back from his 2-month absence, and he picked up exactly where he left off in game 1. With high usage, high efficiency, and he looked like a legit offensive engine the moment he touched the floor. If Kevin Porter is available in your league, you need to go add him right now. I mentioned him in last week's stash video for a reason. He is an absolute monster when he is healthy. In a fast-paced offense like Milwaukee, he is going to eat with opportunities. The Bucks are leaning heavily into tempo this season. They desperately need scoring next to Giannis. And KPJ steps into that system as someone who already thrives in chaotic, up-tempo environments. And here's the part that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. While Kevin Porter Jr. was down, we got a really good preview as to what you can expect when he came back into the system with Ryan Rollins. Rollins was producing extremely well simply because of the volume and the system that they have in place in Milwaukee. KPJ is a much more dynamic scorer, better shot creator, and far more explosive as a player. So if Rollins was giving you fantasy value, Kevin Porter Jr. is going to give you that and then some more. Now, obviously, there's a small caveat here. KPJ is going to be on a minutes restriction for the time being. They're making sure that knee that he injured is fully right before they let him full range for the rest of the season. And that means he's not going to be playing back-to-backs. So based on the Bucks schedule this week, you should only expect him to play in about 3 games. And that's fine, because here's the thing. KPJ doesn't need 4 games for him to go crazy. In those 3 games, with his usage and the way that the offense is structured, he can easily go over 120 points. He can give you a full weeks of value and fewer matchups because his ceiling is just that high in Milwaukee. So if he's sitting on your waiver wire, do not overthink it. Do not wait for him to ramp up. Don't assume someone else won't notice. This is the exact type of player who wins people's weeks, and honestly, he can win you your season. If Kevin Porter Jr. is available, you need to go add him right now. Next on the list, we have Miles McBride, and honestly, he is starting to become a regular on the channel. But the situation in New York is starting to shift. The Knicks are finally starting to get a little bit healthier. OG Anunoby should be potentially returning back to the lineup on Tuesday, and with the current coaching staff starting to settle into the rotation, when McBride gets minutes, he always produces. He gives you a reliable 20 to 30 point floor per night. He shoots well enough to play on the team, plays hard defensively, and he rarely hurts your lineup. But with OG coming back and the guard rotation starting to get crowded again, McBride's opportunities are going to tighten up. So here's where things stand. Miles McBride is still a really good deep league pickup this week. If you're playing in a 12 to 16 team league or you're dealing with injuries, he can absolutely help you on your team. But if you're in a shallow league like 8 to 10 teams, I'd be cautious. His role is not guaranteed with OG coming back, and there are higher upside options available on the waiver wire, usually speaking. So short-term value for deeper leagues, yes. Long-term value, not as secure. Next, we have the big man from Portland, Robert Williams. Robert Williams was with the Celtics. He was a straight up fantasy cheat code for those year 2. He had elite rebounding, elite blocks, elite efficiency, and he was one of those guys who didn't need a ton of touches to completely swing a matchup. But since then, between the injuries and the role changes, we really haven't had the chance to see that version of him again until right now. Over the past couple of weeks, we're finally starting to see that shine return with Robert Williams. Even in a limited role, the Blazers aren't giving him big minutes at all. He's been hovering around 18 minutes per night recently, and that's on the more generous end. But here's the key. Even in that small window, he is impacting games massively. The defensive presence is still there for Robert Williams. The rebounds are still there, and his efficiency has quietly just been elite. You can't teach the stuff that he does naturally. Now, let's talk about the fantasy context now. In shallow leagues, I'm talking 8 to 10, sometimes even 12 team formats, he is probably not going to be worth the headache. The minutes right now just aren't high enough for you to rely on him as a week-to-week contributor for your team. But in deeper leagues, I'm talking 14, 16, 18 teams, anything with deeper benches, adding a guy like Robert Williams can be a sneaky, viable play right now. You're not adding him to be a star, you're adding him to be a elite stabilizer on your team. He fills the gaps, he patches weaknesses, and he can give you that quiet 20 to 25 fantasy points per night without hurting you anywhere else in your roster. And here's the upside. If the Blazers eventually do open up more minutes for him, and that could very realistically happen with Donovan Glenn now being down with an injury, you're already ahead of your league with a player who can easily climb into must-start territory. So no, he's not a universal pickup, but in deeper leagues, Robert Williams is absolutely worth considering. Now this one is going to be a little interesting. We have Collin Sexton down in Charlotte. He has been honestly a complete afterthought for me this entire season. I haven't really thought about him and his impact on the team, but something is starting to shift in Charlotte, and it's starting to shift in his favor, which is the most important part. On Saturday night, the Hornets were down by 17 points with 7 minutes left in the game. It looked over, the energy was dead, and it felt like another one of those nights for the Hornets where nothing goes right. They had the game and they just let it slip through their fingers. But then they made a change. They put Sexton in and put LaMelo Ball on the bench, and he took over the fourth quarter. He helped lead the Hornets all the way back and ended up winning the game in overtime over the Blazers. And this was not luck. This was pure impact that we had here. Now, I'm not saying Collin Sexton is a must-add player at the second. Don't go dropping productive players to chase him. But when you watch the game and listen to the post-game comments, there is a real shift happening for the Hornets. And honestly, I think the front office is just sick and tired of a LaMelo Ball at this point. Between the injuries, the inconsistency, the focus, it feels like they're opening the door for lineup changes to happen. And Sexton is the type of guard who thrives when chaos starts to hit a team. If you can afford a stash, if you got a bench spot, if you got someone you're comfortable rotating out, I would seriously consider grabbing Sexton right now before this becomes an obvious for the rest of the league. You never want to be the person chasing the breakout after it happens. You want to be the one already holding the guy when that breakout does happen for him. So honestly, Collin Sexton is one of those players who, if they are available, I would add him now because I expect him to see more minutes going forward for the Hornets. Next, we have Chris Middleton, and honestly, this is not a name I expected to see on this list at any point this year, but here we are. Fantasy basketball is a beast. The days of Middleton being that nightly 20-point bucket are officially over. That version of him is gone, it's never coming back, but what's interesting is the role that he's carved out for himself in Washington. This is strictly a deep league play. If you're in a shallow league, you pretty much skip forward. You don't need to hear this at all. But he has quietly been ultra efficient in the minutes he's been getting in Washington. He's been rebounding well. He's been moving the ball well. He's taking smart shots. He's not hurting your percentages at all right now. If he's able to keep this role steady and maintain similar minutes throughout this week, Middleton becomes a really sneaky pickup. If you're in a deeper league and he's sitting on the wire, this is one of those ads where I always proceed cautiously, but I always want to get ahead of the curve as well. So I may pick him up on Monday and see how he does. If he does bad, drop him for the rest of the week. But if he does produce well, he may be a pickup for the rest of the week for me. Lastly on this list, we have Neemias Queta, and this is a player who should be rostered in every single fantasy league right now. It makes zero sense to me how he's only rostered in 26% of ESPN leagues, and that is way too low for the caliber of player that he is. Before he went down against Orlando, he was averaging around 30 fantasy points per game and doing it without forcing anything on a nightly basis. Queta is one of the most efficient players in the NBA right now. He's not going to light up the scoreboard for you at all with raw points. He actually has more games this season underneath 10 points per game than over that. But that's not why you add him. He's not an official scorer. He makes every minute on the court count. He gives you rebounds, blocks, elite efficiency when it comes to scoring, and almost no turnovers per game, which is gold in fantasy no matter what format you're playing. If he's somehow sitting on your waiver wire, don't overthink it, go pick him up. He is a rest of season asset and one of the safest big men in the NBA that you can add right now. This is a no-brainer. So that is going to be my list of 6 players that you need to add right now if you're serious about winning your matchup this week. Don't let the schedule catch you slipping. You have to rotate your flyers, stay active, and keep your team competitive week in and week out. Before you guys go, don't click off the video just yet. If you found this video helpful, click the video on the screen right now. I break down the best sleeper candidates you should be trading for this season, players who can legitimately shift your entire playoff run. Thanks for stopping by the corner. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.